Hey guys, for today's video, I'm going to be showing you the new blushes from Goss. I had originally planned on only picking up two, but I truly could not make up my mind. It wasn't until the last minute that I decided to just go ahead and pick up all four palettes. So here I have with me are each of the palettes that Goss has recently released. These actually came out 2 days ago, and they are called the Weightless Veil Blush Palettes. So each one contains one matte blush and a complementary highlighter. So we're going to go through all of them. I'm going to apply each one on my face and see how they look. These were created to work with a lot of skin tones, so some I may have to manipulate a little bit and probably mix a certain way to make it work for me. If you guys watched one of my last videos, I did demo two of the new Dior Glow Face palettes, and one of them was a little bit deep for me, and not all of the shades in those palettes worked for me alone, but mixing them I was able to make most of them work for my skin tone. So that's what I'm pretty much planning on doing with these palettes. If they don't work for me one way, I'm going to try to figure out how I can make them work for me, because I bought them and from what I hear, the formula is gorgeous on these. So before we get into all of that, if you guys are new to my channel, hello and welcome. I am Suzana and I love talking about high-end luxury makeup. That is just my thing. I love luxury packaging and it just excites me a lot more. For me, it's all about the experience while I'm doing my makeup. Of course, the products as well, they have to perform in order for me to love them and to recommend them to you guys. So if you guys love high-end, please make sure to subscribe and also follow me on Instagram. In case you guys aren't familiar with Goss's makeup line, so far he has released lip pencils, lip glosses, lipsticks, an eyeshadow palette, which is actually what I'm wearing today. And actually he started with makeup brushes. I'm a huge fan of his makeup brushes. If you guys have been following me at all, you will know that by now. I use them religiously. I've gifted his brushes to friends and family, so I think they're amazing and totally worth having. They last a very long time. I've had most of mine since he started releasing them, so it's been several years at this point. Now, I think I already mentioned, if not, let me mention it again. He also released an eyeshadow palette. That was his most recent release before these blush highlighter duos. And the palette I've already actually reviewed, so I will make sure to link this at the end of today's video in case you guys are interested in it. I'm just gonna show it to you guys real quick in case you haven't seen it, but this is a gorgeous palette. It's the perfect everyday type of palette. It's something that you can wear for pretty much any occasion. So Goss is actually a makeup artist, so he works with a lot of people of different ages and different skin types, different skin tones. So he is somebody that I trust when it comes to releasing products, because he knows what the market needs and what to target as well. So one of his main concerns with his brand is to create products that work for older people as well, because as we get older, we don't care as much about a lot of shimmer and glitz in our products, or a formula that can emphasize the look of our wrinkles, of our texture, so on and so forth. So that is actually his main focus with his brand, and I think that's amazing for many reasons, but one, it makes his brand a lot more universal. I have already swatched all of these so that I can include some inserts in today's video, and I was quite surprised with a few of these palettes because they are quite pigmented. Granted, it was a swatch with my fingers. Usually we apply more pressure, but also a lot of the times blushes don't swatch all that well. So a few of these are very vibrant. I'm sure he did this so that it can flatter a huge range of skin tones. So already I want to commend him for that. I'm also happy that I didn't notice any of these having any particles of glitter or like very shimmery highlights. Like I mentioned, the blushes are matte, but the highlighters, you do appear to have a very glowy finish. So I'm really excited to get these on my face. I have watched, or I did skim through one video. I try really hard not to watch a video until I test out a product and come out with my own ideas, just so that nothing's influenced on me. But like I said, I was skimming through a video because I wanted to figure out which palettes to get, but then in the end that kind of didn't work out. I ended up with all of them. So it looks like they perform really beautifully. So I do have some pretty high expectations. I mean, I love the palette. I love so far everything I've gotten from him. So I'm expecting to love these as well. As far as the packaging on these, it is exactly the same as the palette that I just showed you guys. The same size, the same, everything is exactly the same from the outside. In one way, my OCD self really enjoys that, but in another way, not so much. I think I'll just have to store these like in order of lightest to darkest for myself so that it doesn't drive me crazy and I have to look at the back the whole time. But we'll see, because although I can be very organized, I can also be very messy. Like this table is a huge mess right now where I film. So yeah, me being organized is short-lived typically. So since I have 4 palettes and just one face, what I'm gonna do is apply one palette on one side of the face, the other one on the other, remove that, and then go in with the other 2 palettes. So we'll start with the lightest, and that is this one called Coral Rose. The blush is described as a peachy pink and the highlighter as a beige champagne. So I went ahead and first applied the highlighter and then just one layer of that blush. As always, I forget to scoot you guys in. Okay, and so far I am liking this palette. I think it suits me quite well. It is on the lighter side, so I will go in and build this up a little bit. The highlighter I did go ahead and apply first because that's how I typically apply my highlight. I usually do highlight, bronzer, and then the blush because the blush goes in the middle, and the way I see it, it ends up blending the edges of both the bronzer and the highlighter, and it all starts looking a little bit more cohesive that way. But Wayne Goss did recommend to layer these in different ways to get a different type of finish or look, we can say. So when you do it the way that I just did it, where I applied the highlighter prior to the blush, we're supposed to get a more ethereal look, and I do feel like that is how my skin is looking right now. Very subtle, a very beautiful kind of glow from within, really natural. So I actually think this looks beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and apply another layer of the blush, and it picks up quite easily. It doesn't look powdery on the pan either. Very, very light. I'm gonna do one more layer just to see how buildable these actually are. Okay, so that is a little bit more like my cup of tea. I like my blush to stand out a little bit. I'm not really into subtle blushes. It all kind of depends on the look that I'm creating, but this is more of my type. I'm gonna go back in now with the highlighter just to add a little more and apply it on top of these blushes. Again, these blushes are matte, so he did that very deliberately so that we have the ability, we have the control to create this how we want to. If we want a matte blush, perfect, just pop it on. If we want it to have a radiant finish, you apply a little bit of the highlighter over top. Now, I do not like a highlight in this area here. A lot of the times I don't really like a blush that's too radiant because it'll emphasize my texture. So if I use a blush that has some radiance to it, I focus it on this back area here. So again, we customize these however we'd like. And the highlighter, I'm gonna bring it down a little bit more just to see. It looks beautiful. To me, this actually looks a little bit angelic, so I think it's gorgeous. I'm blocking the lighting a little just in case you guys can see it better this way. Like I need to blend this a little bit. For some reason, I'm just not used to having highlight on top like that. Okay, there we go, that's better. It needed a little bit of blending. The next palette we have is called Blush Peony. The blush in this one is described as a medium petal pink, and this is the one with the iridescent highlighter. It is described as a cool iridescent pink. So I'm going to do the same thing, apply the highlighter first and then the blush. So this is another beautiful blush. This is definitely more on the cooler side, but it looks really nice. I think this actually complements my eye makeup a lot more than this side, but I think I can get away with both of them, honestly. Really like it. This is definitely a lot more pigmented, and you can see that it is a little bit more iridescent. Let me try to black the light here a little bit. I'm not sure if that helps at all. So I'll do the same thing I did with the last one and apply another layer of the blush. This does pick up quite a bit, and because it is a little bit more vibrant, you are going to start noticing it a little bit more on the cheek. But even building it up, that looks beautiful. It almost reminds me of like a doll pink. And doll, D-O-L-L, not D-U. And just a little bit of highlight over top. So this one I actually like a lot more with the highlighter on top. It definitely complements this blush so much more in this way on me. So that is how I think I'll be using this more. Really beautiful, really, really beautiful. This is for sure a palette that's like perfect for the winter time. Love that. Okay, so again on this side we have Coral Rose and then Blush Peony. I scooted you guys out just in case. Not sure if it looks any different. I cleaned off my face, and now we're going to move on to the next palette, and this is called Vivid Azalea. The blush here is described as a vibrant magenta, and the highlighter is a white gold. Okay, you definitely want to go in with a much lighter hand because it is very, very vibrant, very, very pigmented. So I'm going to try to tone it down with a little bit of foundation. That looks gorgeous. So I may actually be doing that where I apply the blush and then just go in with my foundation brush that I use that day. So for example, today I've been using this one, and it tones down the blush very nicely, but it makes it kind of like really melt into your skin. So far I have noticed that these blushes alone kind of do almost immediately melt into the skin, so it doesn't look like it's just sitting there as long as you blend. And they don't require a lot of blending, by the way, but as long as you actually take some time to blend, you will notice that it looks very, I don't know, I mean, I want to say skin-like. I'm obviously wearing makeup, but it it doesn't look like I have powder on my face. So now I think I'm going to leave it alone as far as a blush. I won't be adding any more of that, but I do want to add a little bit more highlighter on top just to see how it looks. I like it like this though, and I'm typically not a fan of a white highlighter. This is a golden white? No, well, it's a white gold highlight. And usually these don't work very well for me, but I do feel that this is something I can get away with. And I actually also feel like, ironically, this is something that'll look really, really nice during the winter time. When I initially saw this, immediately my brain went to, oh, that is a perfect summer blush because it is so vibrant. But on the cheeks, I don't know, to me, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be using this all year round, but to me it seems like it's just a little best suited for the winter. So let's see with the highlight over. And once I apply the highlight over top, I feel like I have the liberty of coming down a little bit more. Oh, that looks beautiful. A word that I saw a lot on the Beautylish website, which is where I got all of my blushes from, is ethereal. And these really do give that ethereal look. So, I mean, I'm really enjoying all of these so far. Oh, so gorgeous. I'm just going to blend very lightly. There we go. Love it. Let's see if I can block off some of this light. Beautiful. Love it. Now this final palette is called Bright Poppy. The blush is described as a poppy pink, while the highlighter is a golden copper. Okay, so definitely on these darker, more brighter shades, we want to make sure to only pick up a little bit because, I mean, they're pigmented, very pigmented. And I had actually removed some of the blush on my hand here before I went in to apply. And even like that, look at how much color I got. So I'm gonna go back with my foundation brush and try to tone this down. So I'm losing a little bit of light right now, so I ended up having to play with the lighting. I hope it's not too bright, but I feel like you might be able to see everything a little bit better on my skin. I did go ahead and mute this a little bit with the foundation brush. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight just to see how it looks over this. As of right now, I don't really feel like this palette is going to work out as well for me used alone. I'll probably have to mix it with another palette. If you have a deeper complexion than I do, I mean, both of these palettes will look phenomenal on you. Just trying to tone this down. To me, it looks like the highlighter of this palette is not as glowy on me. I don't think it looks bad. I think I'll just have to go in with a much lighter hand when using this blush. This I'll probably end up using when I'm doing a bronzy makeup look and I really want my face to look bronzed up. I think this will be a great addition to that. Maybe almost like a bronzer topper type of deal. So this is how we're looking with those two palettes. And just like I did the first time around, I went ahead and scooted you guys back so you can see from afar how these look on the skin. I've got to say, I think all of these palettes are beautiful. I think they're all special, and if you're interested in any of them, I really don't think that you'll regret it. Just try to pick a palette that's going to suit you the best. But either way, you can make these work. What I do like is that they are, you know, customizable, of course, to a certain extent, but at least we have the ability to play with them a little bit differently so that they can better suit us. The formula is beautiful. It really is like butter on your skin. You just don't see exactly where anything ends and begins. It melts into the skin really easily. It looks beautiful. I love the glow of these highlighters. It's just my kind of glow. I really like this, and I'm quite surprised at the one that I've selected so far as my favorite. So it is what I have on my face at the moment. Can you guys guess which one it is? Okay, time's up. So my favorite one, and I'm going to rank these, I guess, from favorite to least favorite. Again, this is a first impression, so maybe things will change. But as of my first impressions, my favorite palette for me is this one called Blush Peony. I really am surprised at how much I love this. I do enjoy cool tone blushes, but it's just not something I gravitate towards as much. However, this just did it for me. The iridescent highlighter as well is not something I gravitate towards all that much. I'm not really into a highlighter that, you know, shifts at all, and this one I think looks so gorgeous. So the blush of this one is described as a medium petal blush, and the highlighter is the cool iridescent pink. But the base of this one is perfect, where it just works for me and it doesn't look like ridiculous on my skin tone. So far this is my favorite. The one that follows is another surprise for me because I had these at a totally different order. I probably should have done that at the beginning of the video before I apply these onto my face, what order I think I'm going to love these, because this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. So my second favorite is Vivid Azalea. Okay, just be careful with how we apply these because I went a little out of hand the first time. I applied way too much, but that was such an easy fix. I really just enjoyed this and I loved how it looked on my skin tone. Now number 3 is the one that I thought was going to be my number 1, which is Coral Rose. This looked beautiful, very natural, like a perfect everyday type of blush. I think if you have a fair to light medium skin tone, this may be the one that I'll recommend, that I know that you're going to like. It's honestly the safest one out of the 4. It just didn't wow me as much as the other ones, but that's just because of shade, I don't want to say shade preference, because typically this would be my shade preference, but I think I liked the uniqueness of the other 2 a little bit more. So that's why that made it to number 3. And then the last one obviously is Bright Poppy. This is only the last one because of the highlighter being so dark for me to use as an actual highlighter. I think the blush though, I can make it work and will look really beautiful on its own, but I just really don't see myself using this highlighter all that much. These colors are definitely a little bit too dark for me, but I mean, it's no denying that they're beautiful anyway. It just has to do with my skin tone. Alright guys, that is it as far as today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it informative. Let me know what you think about these face palettes. Do you think you'll be picking one up? Have you picked up any? Share in the comments below. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe if you haven't so you do not miss out on my future videos. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time.